The thermometer read 50 below, and the two men huddled in the cabin hadn't spoken in 3 weeks. One man clutched a rusted knife, his knuckles white with hatred. The other slept fitfully, one eye open like a wolf sensing danger. They had come to the Yukon as partners, as friends. Now they were something else entirely. What transforms civilized men into savages? What happens when the darkness outside seeps into your soul? By the end of this story, you'll discover how quickly the veneer of civilization can crack when faced with the merciless truth of the wild. When Jack London wrote In a Far Country, he wasn't just telling another tale of adventure. He was delivering a brutal warning. The North doesn't just kill with cold and hunger. It strips away everything you thought you were. I've spent years studying London's work, and this story haunts me personally. 3 winters ago, I was stranded during a blizzard for just 48 hours. Even with modern comforts, I felt something primal stirring inside me. Imagine months of isolation in the merciless Yukon wilderness. Today, I'm taking you deep into In a Far Country, where two men face nature's harshest test and fail in ways more terrifying than freezing to death. You'll discover what London knew about human nature that most of us never want to confront. You clicked on this video because something about Jack London's In a Far Country called to you. Maybe it's the haunting image of these men trapped in an endless winter, or perhaps you sense this story contains wisdom we desperately need today. Either way, you were right. London begins with a warning that echoes through time. When a man journeys into a far country, he must be prepared to forget many of the things he has learned. The North demands adaptation, sacrifice, transformation. Those who cling to old comforts perish. Two men, Carter Weatherby and Percy Cuthbert, ignore this warning. They join a relief expedition to the Yukon, seeking gold without understanding the price. They are soft men, one a clerk, the other a gentleman's son. Neither has faced true hardship. When the expedition reaches a cabin at the Stewart River, these two volunteer to stay behind and guard supplies while the others push forward. They believe they've chosen the easy path. They're wrong. The moment the last sled dog disappears into the white horizon, something shifts. The silence becomes a living thing. The darkness absolute. And these two men, strangers, really must face the longest winter of their lives together. But there's something London doesn't tell us right away, something crucial about these men that will turn their cabin into a psychological battleground. As the first snow falls, burying them alive, we begin to see it. These men aren't just unprepared for the North. They're unprepared for each other. The first month passes easily enough. They have food, shelter, books. They tell themselves spring will come. But the darkness deepens, the cold intensifies, and time begins to warp. London writes, "The silence of the North fell upon their souls." Feel that sentence. The silence doesn't just surround them, it penetrates them, becomes part of them. The North isn't just a place, it's an active force testing their mettle. What would you do, trapped in a tiny cabin with a stranger for months on end? How would you maintain your sanity when the sun disappears and temperatures drop to 70 below? These aren't hypothetical questions, they're the reality these men face. Weatherby and Cuthbert begin to notice things about each other. Small things at first. The way one chooses food. The other's habit of humming tunelessly. Trivial annoyances that grow monstrous in confinement. If you've ever been irritated by someone's small habits, hit that like button. Now multiply that feeling by 100 dark, freezing days with no escape. London shows us how isolation magnifies every difference between these men. Weatherby's cough becomes unbearable to Cuthbert. Cuthbert's aristocratic airs infuriate Weatherby. They establish boundaries within the tiny cabin, invisible lines neither dares cross. They stop speaking, communicating only when necessary. The cabin becomes two territories in silent war. Then something happens that changes everything. The first symptoms appear: swollen gums, joint pain, lethargy. Scurvy has found them, that ancient enemy of isolated men. And with disease comes fevered dreams and darkening thoughts. The battle is no longer just between two men, but between humanity and the encroaching wilderness both outside and within. Their physical deterioration mirrors their psychological collapse. London writes, "They lost all regard for personal appearance, and for that matter, common decency. These once civilized men grow matted beards, wear filthy clothes, eat with their hands like animals. The cabin, once a haven, becomes a prison reeking of unwashed bodies and festering resentment. They sleep, clutching weapons, Weatherby a hatchet, Cuthbert a revolver. Each man convinced the other plans murder. Let me ask you this. Is it the North that's breaking these men? Or is the North simply revealing what was always there beneath their civilized masks?" London believed something profound about human nature, that we are all just a few missed meals, a few sleepless nights, a few hopeless days away from our primal selves. The veneer of civilization is thinner than we admit. Anthropologists studying isolated groups note that humans need three things to maintain social cohesion: shared purpose, clear hierarchy, and hope for the future. Weatherby and Cuthbert have none of these. Their purpose, survival, has become individual, not shared. There is no later, only two equals in misery. And hope. Hope dies a little each sunless day. Then comes the moment that could save them or destroy them. After months of darkness, they see it, the first faint glow of returning sun. For one brief moment, they share joy, slap each other on the back, act like friends. The sun has returned. But in that moment of connection, something else emerges, a revelation about their true natures that will lead to the final, bloody confrontation. The momentary camaraderie evaporates like breath in cold air. The sun's return doesn't heal their fractured minds. It illuminates the depths to which they've fallen. London writes, "They saw each other clearly now, and grotesque and horrible as the situation was, they laughed. They were men again, but their laughter isn't joy, it's the terrible recognition of what they've become." That night, fever dreams take Weatherby. He sees Cuthbert as a monster come to devour him. Cuthbert, half mad himself, interprets Weatherby's ravings as threats. Imagine waking in the dark to find a man standing over you, knife in hand, eyes wild with delirium. Would you wait to discover his intentions? Or would you reach for your own weapon? This is the terrible calculus of survival. In civilization, we give the benefit of doubt. In the wild, doubt gets you killed. I've spent years exploring London's wilderness tales because they reveal truths about human nature we rarely confront. If you want to journey deeper into these psychological frontiers with me, hit subscribe now. Next week, we'll explore London's most famous survival story, To Build a Fire, where one man's fatal arrogance against nature becomes the ultimate cautionary tale. The ending comes swiftly. brutally. There is no redemption, no last-minute saving grace. When the relief party finally arrives in spring, they find two frozen corpses in the cabin, Weatherby with a bullet hole through his chest, Cuthbert with his skull split open. London doesn't moralize. He simply shows us the scene and lets us draw our own conclusions. These men didn't die from cold or hunger or even scurvy. They died from their inability to adapt, not just to the North, but to each other. Remember the warning at the story's beginning. When a man journeys into a far country, he must be prepared to forget many of the things he has learned. Weatherby and Cuthbert couldn't forget their old selves, couldn't shed the petty concerns of civilization, couldn't embrace the brutal simplicity survival demanded. The story's power lies not in its uniqueness, but in its universality. We are all, in some sense, journeying in far countries, facing challenges that require us to adapt or perish. The wilderness may not be geographic for most of us, but we all face our own forms of isolation, our own tests of character. What is your far country? What challenge in your life is demanding you adapt, change your thinking, abandon old comforts? The wisdom of London's tale applies far beyond the Yukon. The North in this story is more than setting. It's a mirror reflecting the true nature of those who venture into its domain. Some find strength they never knew they possessed. Others, like our unfortunate protagonists, discover only weakness. London's genius was understanding that extreme conditions don't create character, they reveal it. The cold and dark didn't make these men enemies. It simply stripped away the social constraints that kept their animosity in check. As we close this journey into In a Far Country, I leave you with London's own words. Life is not always a matter of holding good cards, but sometimes playing a poor hand well. Weatherby and Cuthbert were dealt a difficult hand, true. But their tragedy wasn't in the cards they held. It was in how they played them. Join me next week as we explore To Build a Fire, where London shows us another man facing nature's ultimate test, with equally fatal but entirely different results. Until then, remember, the far country is waiting in whatever form it takes in your life. Will you be ready when it calls?